Could have had a better bill, Mr. Chair.
Oh, Jackie Dean.
In the committee stages of the EEZ bill, and the member who just resumed his seat referred to the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment, and I think it's probably worth having a look at the full press release made by Dr. Jan Wright. Has welcomed, and I'm quoting now, has welcomed the changes to the exclusive economic zone bill made by the government. The bill is intended to regulate activities in the EEZ, including deep water oil exploration and iron sand prospecting. Dr. Wright says she is satisfied that the legislation will provide significant protection to New Zealand's EEZ. So that comes directly from the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment's website, and it is one of two press releases which the Parliamentary Commissioner put out very recently, acknowledging the good work of the Minister for the Environment, Honourable Amy Adams, in recognising that through the Select Committee process some improvements can and should be made to the EEZ bill. And, hats off to her. She's listened and she's made some very constructive changes. I also want to pick up on the point made by one of the Labour members who bemoaned the fact that the SOP was something like 11 pages long and 14 pages long and contained an awful lot of material. I'd just like, if you have a read of the SOP, you'll recognise that there are really three substantive. See, look at the creases in the paper, see? Look at the creases in the paper. And thank you. And if those members had, like myself and my colleagues, looked at that SOP, they would have recognised that there are three key changes. One of those, it amends the purpose of the bill to incorporate the concept of sustainable management, which is similar to the RMA. And I'm going to pick up on that theme, maybe later in the speech or in other contributions. It also increases the maximum penalties for companies from $600,000 through to $10 million. And this again was another hotly discussed issue within Select Committee. Clarifies that the transitional period will enable planned activities to proceed during the 2013-14 season, and also provides a statutory timeframe of about 6 months for marine consent processes. Now, many of the other issues noted in the SOP are tidying up and formatting issues associated with the bill. Now, Mr. Chair, I just want to pick up on the first point I made about sustainable management, and I just want to read from the bill commentary. Labour would like to see more consistency between the EEZ regime and the RMA. Labour believes that better alignment of the two regimes would provide more certainty for industry and local government, as well as reassurance for the general public regarding the protection of the marine environment. The concept, and I think this is the interesting part, the concept of sustainable economic development is well understood under the RMA and should be carried through into this regime, which is really interesting. So it gives a tick, I think, as my colleague says, for the concept of sustainable economic development. And so when I pick up the SOP and have a look at new clause 10, it says purpose. The purpose of this Act is to promote the sustainable management of the natural resources of the exclusive economic zone of the Continental Shelf. So from that, I am assuming that reading Labour's minority report in the bill, which is calling for the concept of sustainable economic development, and then picking up the SOP, which in clause 10 in this Act, sustainable management, I would have thought that Grant Robertson might have been well pleased. So why is it that Grant Robertson and Moana Maki want to send this back into the wilderness and not actually take a stand and make a call on this legislation? Do you know why? Because they don't want any regulation in the exclusive economic zone. They want to continue the legacy of their 9 years while they were in government, where there was a regulatory gap which they were happy with, regarding deep-sea drilling in their tenure of Parliament. So if they were so happy, Mr Chair, just to finish off that point, it seems that Labour want the concept of sustainable economic development. It's been picked up in the SOP. They're still not happy. Why aren't they happy? They would prefer to have a regulatory vacuum rather than some good legislation.
I call Charles Cheval.
Mr Chairman, I just want